Hey everybody, Tim here with today's episodes of Orville Season 2, and I decided to do episodes 13 and 14 together. They're not two-part titles. The episode 13 is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, and episode 14 is The Road Not Taken. But they do really go together, and just my feelings towards both of them, I think it's just easier to kind of do it together. So as a season 2 finale, it is actually really good. Like, at least the first part. I really enjoyed the first part. The second half, not so much, which is why I kind of decided to just tag it along to the first part, because I don't have that much to say. It's, in fact, one of those, like, sequences that I don't like that TV shows do. That being said, I'll kind of talk about it when I get to it. So the whole first episode is basically kind of a time travel episode that, again, like, pays homage to Star Trek The Next Generation. It kind of just takes a page out of that book and then just does it a little bit different and puts it back. So the whole opening scene is just foreshadow, where you see kind of a bunch of the crew talking about, like, Ed and Kelly's first date and how he has no game and called her at 9 a.m. the next day. And they keep talking about it, so you can kind of tell that it's going to be important. The big, like, what's this about, comes when you see Isaac has made a time machine, and clearly, like, already you're like, okay, so this is going to be important. And then after the gravitation wave, that's when the second Kelly comes on board. And I love how, like, Isaac has no clue. He's just like, you changed your garments in the last 30 seconds. How did you do that? And, like, doesn't even think about it. And then when you realize that this is actually Kelly from 7 years ago, it kind of starts to change the dynamic. And I love how they don't even, like, acknowledge any part. They're just like, I don't know, it's time travel, it's weird. How did she come on board? Well, she was standing next to the time machine, thinking about the first date, and they brought her to the future. And so they even start talking about, like, well, how can the Commander Kelly remember this? Like, is it two different timelines? They just start going through all of these different possible scenarios, and they even say, they're like, we don't know. Like, this is time travel. We're making it up as we go, which is great because there's so many different rules and laws and stuff with time travel. You could pick 100 different movies, and every one of them kind of goes by their own little standards. And this one even says, like, we're just kind of making it up. And we've seen time travel in the show before. The one where the lady tried to come back in time to steal the Orville because it was about to be destroyed. And even that one kind of had its own paradoxes where she couldn't come back in time anymore, but yet, like, if she couldn't come back in time, how did she save the Orville? Like, it should have been destroyed type situations. So the show's already kind of wonky. So anyway, she's here now, so they're just kind of trying to make the best of it. And it's very reminiscent of when Riker ends up being cloned. And so you have, like, they're technically the same age and everything, but you have two identical Rikers. So now you have, like, Will Riker and Thomas Riker. Whereas these, they're two different aged Kellys. You have Commander Kelly and her 7-year younger, like, twin sister, Lieutenant Kelly. So it's kind of interesting. The whole scenes with, like, Ed and Gordon playing video games is great. Very, like, how would video games be in the future? Like, it's not quite as advanced as you think, but it's still pretty good. Especially that they're playing it in his quarters and not on the holodeck. It starts to get weird when, like, Ed actually wants to go on a date with Lieutenant Kelly, because this whole time he's been like, you know, after everything that happened with the Reptician, like, maybe it wasn't your fault, maybe we should try this again. But Kelly's like, nah, this is not for me. We tried, it's over. So now he wants to try it again with the 7-year younger version. It's weird and it's kind of creepy, but I mean, you also kind of get it. Like, he just wants to be with her and he has feelings. The whole thing, like, when the two Kellys are talking and she's like, you're not married, you're not a captain, and you're distant to your fellow employees, associates, whatever, crew, like, you've made my future a disappointment. Like, it's heartbreaking. Like, it is really sad to be like, these are your goals. Now that I'm here, none of them are achieved, so you've kind of let me down. So it's really kind of like, if you could see yourself 7 years ago, like, what would you think type situation. The whole hiding the ice was actually a pretty cool little trick, stuff we've seen before, but still, it was kind of interesting. And then when they finally like decide to send her back in time with the mind wipe, you're like, okay, so this is it. This is how they fix the episode. And realistically, if that was it, if it was just this one episode and we were done, I would love this episode. I would think it was a great episode. And everything, even with the little cliffhanger there at the end where it's like when we see Ed call her at 9 a.m. the next day with his non-existent game, and she turns him down. So already you're like, oh, like the mind wipe didn't work and she's changing history. What's going to happen? But the second half, like the second episode entirely, to me, did not need to be a thing. Like, I didn't like it. It was interesting, and it was a great like television episode. It was well acted, well directed, all that jazz. But like it's one of those, like, it just doesn't matter. Which I know I've kind of made people a little angry, ruffled some feathers, because I've said the same thing about like The Year of Hell, the two-parter and Voyager. It's some great like television episodes, but when you get to the end of that two-parter and everything just resets, none of it matters. So like episodes like that always kind of bother me, where it's like, hey, this is really interesting, but all of their memories are wiped and we just go back to where we started. So what was the point in watching it? It's like the whole Dallas, like, it's a dream. Like, I don't know, television episodes like that always really kind of bug the shit out of me. And like the whole opening sequences are great for the second episode, where they're running in the snow and they find the replicator and they make a Twinkie, stuff like that. And right away you can tell, like, oh, the scavengers are here, Kelly from 7 years ago that I went on one date with. And you're like, oh, this is the different timeline. The Resistance, Lieutenant Lara, Liara, whatever, makes her like comeback appearance, which is great to see her again. Some great like cinematography with the black hole, which makes no sense because they're like too close to the black hole, so the Kalons can't see them, and 2 days go by when it's really like maybe an hour, maybe like maybe a half hour, but they still escape. Like, that's not how black holes work. So stuff like that kind of bothered me. Again, like the Orville being in the ocean and Bortus being the only one alive on it, and watching it actually like come out was actually pretty cool. And then we just get back to the end where Claire goes back in time, ejects Kelly, and Kelly doesn't remember anything and goes on the second date. Now, is she faking it again? And she's like, oh, I've seen what happens. Like, let's just do the second date. Who knows? I don't know. Personally, like, I just think the whole thing reset, and it doesn't matter to me. Like, the whole first episode was so good, and that whole second episode was just like, oh, okay, like, we saw the lives of these people for 45 minutes. Who the fuck cares? Like, that's it. I mean, it's great acting. They're really talented people, but I don't know. Stuff like that always kind of bothers me because I feel no emotional investment towards them in it. So, I don't know. If they can find a way to like kind of bring it back around, make it more important again, that'll be cool, but chances are we will never reference this ever again because nobody's going to remember it. So, I don't know. For whatever it is, for whatever it's worth, I did like the first episode, not so much the second. And now, Orville is no longer on Fox. They were like canceled from Fox and they've moved over to Hulu. So we are now currently awaiting season 3. I'm super excited. I absolutely love this show. I think it is a fantastic show. I think it's a great like tribute to Star Trek and does what it can to bring that social commentary to today's audience. I think it's doing a great job, and I absolutely love it. With all shows, there's greats, there's lows, there's in-betweens. I think this is a great show. I'm really excited to see what you guys think over season 2 overall, and what are you guys looking forward to seeing in season 3 on Hulu. So thank you guys for everything, and I will see you guys next time.